Good evening. We're going to be live. Well, we are live. In fact, we're going to be doing the show Monday Night Live at 6 p.m. Thought I'd just start the stream a little bit early and get things going. Simon's here. Simon's here. Pop your little microphone on.
Good evening, everyone. Or good morning, depending where you are.
Yeah. The hound is here. Let's go. Come here. Yeah. There he is. There's the lunatic. He normally sleeps down at the bottom while we're doing the show, don't you? Hey? Look, that's you on the screen there, Barts. So he normally has a little sleep down at the bottom here. Come here. Bonnie, come here. Bonnie, come here. Come here. Sit. Good boy. Crackpot. Good boy. Good shake off. That's not me going for a wee. That's me pouring some water.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I can't help getting out. Golf tips, Kath, absolutely. It's golf tips. We do a little Monday Night Live on a Monday, funny enough, 6 p.m. So we normally start the stream, I start the stream 5 minutes earlier, and then we open up the show at 6 p.m. So this is a little bit of a pre-show show, just setting ourselves up. Noel is from New York. Welcome from New York. We're going to be going live on the Precision Golf channel at 6 p.m. in a couple of minutes' time, and we open up the show. We take all of your questions, anything on golf equipment and golf swing. So welcome along. You win a golf match or you gain points in your golfing stats. You win a golf match or you gain points in your golfing stats. Don't know what you mean, Kath, but there's no competition here this evening, only who asks the best question.
Ooh.
Who asks the best question? Thanks for being here. Nice to have a few of you on. Double tap the screen if you are watching. It would help our feed grow. Oh, we've got a different chat. We've got a soul chat there now. Like it. Is that what you've been using, is it? Instead of having the doodah up?
No, you just did it, so.
Yeah, perfect. No, perfect.
I don't go anywhere near it.
Yeah. Have you guys compared Foresight GC3 to the TrackMan? If so, is it worth getting, or should I get the TrackMan 3? TrackMan 3, or do you mean TrackMan 4? Then TrackMan 4 is the latest one. TrackMan 3 is the older one. I prefer TrackMan 3 indoor or TrackMan 4 indoors. I think GC Quad is a bit better outside, purely from the portability standpoint. But you've got to put stickers on your golf club. That's the only downside of it.
The only thing with the TrackMan 3 to bear in mind is they will stop supporting software updates for that fairly soon, because TrackMan 4 has been out quite a long time. So you might find a TrackMan 3 that's good value, but it might not be good value, if you know what I mean.
Kath, what's the difference between thick pole and thin one? One's thin, one's thick. Don't know, Val. Don't know what you're talking about, to be honest.
He's thin, I'm thick.
Good evening and welcome to another Monday Night Live. Thank you for joining Simon and I James behind the screen doing all of the camera action. We take your questions every Monday, all on the golf swing and anything golf equipment based, and we welcome anything, whether it's silly or very, very serious. How's your week been? Weekend?
My week or my end? Both been quite good actually. Yeah.
Your end?
Yeah. The end of the week was very good. Yeah, it was a busy week. I was in Saturday, so James and I dovetail. Who's in on Saturday? So weekend just goes super quick. And now we're into full-on British winter weather. Darkness, lack of light, lack of temperature.
Yeah, coming into work in the darkness and going home in the darkness is fairly suboptimal, isn't it? But you've got to do what you've got to do.
It's only the start of it. So well, on that happy note.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it's all good.
As usual, we have all of the questions coming in. You're watching it in 2 different streams. If you're watching it vertically in your shorts, you'll be watching on Good Golf Coaching. And if you're watching on Landscape, you'll be watching on Precision Golf. Either way, you can throw us questions our way. Let's kick ourselves off from the Precision Golf channel. Kev T, always early with the questions. Kev, evening, both. Good evening, Kev. Can you extend an AI1 7DB putter from 35 inch to 37 inch? And if so, would it need extra weight added? Thank you.
You can do. You can certainly extend it. The only thing with the Odyssey putters, most of the time they've got a little counterweight in the back of the shaft, so you have to get that out. But you can extend them a couple of inches. By extending it a couple of inches, if you're going to use it as like a kind of a counterbalanced putter, those models often have a heavier grip and a heavier head. But by going a couple of inches longer, you might not need to add much weight to the head anyway. Because the effective kind of length of the club, the effective sort of swing weight's going to go up, so you might not need to add too much to the head weight, but it may need a bit of extra on it, yes. I think that answered the question.
Richie66 says, hi guys. Kath Val is asking random questions, so I'm not going to go too deep into those questions. Good evening to you, Richie.
I can't read them.
Asking about medieval golf and all sorts of nonsense. Sorry about that, Kath Val. We're not getting involved in those silly questions. Chris Johnston, evening fellas, evening Chris. Simon, could you compare the stock Hazardous Gen 5 in the GT3 10-degree driver with the Acra GX 250 M4, looking at dropping some weight and improving timing? Thanks.
Okie dokie.
So Simon will nip off and get those put together for you. Chris, J Master Jake 912R. I've got a new driver with a 50-gram stiff shaft. Can you hear this, Simon?
Shortly.
He will just
Can
be
now.
coming back.
Fire away.
J Master Jack 912R says, I've got a new driver with 50-gram stiff shaft. When I was recommended a 60-gram, will it make that big a difference, or will the difference be minimal?
So it will from a timing point of view. So if you are recommended a 60-gram, you've got a 50-gram, then chances are it's not going to let you put the same amount of power into the swing, commitment to the swing. So if it gets light, essentially you kind of lose the club halfway down, and you're going to find you're likely to, you're right there, likely to have to kind of place the club on the ball a bit rather than just clear through. That's going to be the biggest influence. It's not going to, it shouldn't make on its own too much difference to ball flight. However, it depends how it makes you have to react to deliver the club square. Your consistency is likely to be less, and your ability to just sort of stand and deliver is going to be diminished as well.
Stand and deliver.
Yeah, I can't remember who did it, but it was in this, it was stand and deliver. That's sort of an era.
Was
that one.
Adam and the Ants?
Oh, quite possibly.
Mark Wood would know all about that.
Well,
was it the correct answer?
Very
Adam and the
impressed.
Ants.
Very impressed. Pot pickers.
Pot pickers. Kath Val asks, what happens if you are hit in the head with a golf club?
You're not going to be in a good way. Considering if it's in the swing, considering the golf club can get up somewhere north of 70, 80 miles an hour, then you are going to likely be knocked out. You have a very large egg-like whelk on your head, and you just don't want to be hit in the head by a golf club.
Yep. Shamrock, hi from Finland. Lovely to have you with us, Shamrock. Popper Bear, nice to have you with us. Hi guys, first time being able to join with the time difference. Whereabouts are you in the States Papa Bear, during work hours. Simon, could you speak to what the Mura equivalent to a Blueprint S or I240 would be?
So Blueprint S, probably the TC202 is going to be pretty close. There's a bit of perimeter weighting, there's a bit of weight down the bottom of the head. Actually, let me grab them.
While Simon does that, Richie66, can you explain the role of the trail, hand and arm? Gladly, I will do that when Simon pops back.
So, latest model this year, the TC202. So you've got a little bit of mass at the bottom of the head, a bit of structure up the middle. So this would be like the Blueprint S, which is essentially there's a little bit of tungsten in the toe, but it's that same principle. Single piece forging, bit of mass at the bottom, still, you know, a very playable head, you know, shop maker's head. There's not a lot of forgiveness to it, but it's not a blade. And then Mura, the IC602, that would be their equivalent to the I240. So whilst this is a hollow body construction, the I240, you can see the cavity, you can see the bit of material in the bottom. It's the same principle of removing weight from the face, low and back, but it's not a cannon, it's not a bomber of a head. It's not like a P790 or an I530 Ping, for example. It's designed to retain a bit of spin, just give some more forgiveness and a little bit of ball speed from some face tech, but that would be the I240 equivalent.
We answer all your questions, get them in nice and early because we can't these days, because of the volume, we can't guarantee we'll get through them all. So get those questions in nice and early and we will get through them as quick as we possibly can.
Right, so this will be a new one. I've hit no shots today.
Well, about time. He normally comes in and it's about 50 or 60 golf balls. Warms up.
So,
I don't
oh,
know.
dearie me. Right, so has this Gen 5 60 6.0, structurally pretty stable, designed, generally the Hazardous Black series designed around lower ball flight, stronger launch and spin. So let's see what we got here. It's not the most responsive feeling shaft. Oh, dearie me, hips didn't move a lot on that one. Got that high on the face, that's going to knuckle a bit of spin off. Let me just do one more with that. It's not going to tell you too much, but because I haven't warmed up, I've got to kind of work that through a little bit. So for this shaft, it's a shaft that needs hitting really. So be a bit more positive with the swing and then I can fetch the club through. And this weight-wise actually suits me quite well. As a head, it's low spin, so this shaft helps keep the spin down a little bit more. It's very stable, you know, upper mid-launch, lower mid-spin, but definitely something that needs working to get the best out of relative to weight. And then we'll flip the shaft over. Yep. So Acura, the GX250, looking at a kind of 54 gram shaft versus a 64 gram shaft, so a good 10 grams lighter. The 250 GX, so you've got the 100 series, 200 series and 300. The 300 is an absolute poker, very stable, very tip stable, designed, you know, to really be a low spin kind of hitters model. So you could argue the 300 series is a little bit more like the Hazardous Gen 5, but it's even more stout. The 100 is the softest tip, highest launch, and the 200 sits in the middle. So it's a sort of a mid-launch, really kind of mid to low spin. It's very green.
It is very green, isn't it?
And it's got a bit back, but still, Acura's still pretty low spin, pretty stable shaft. So it's not going to be a massively kind of high kick, high launch shaft, but being 10 grams lighter than Hazardous, you're going to feel a little bit more response from it. And you're not going to have to work as hard to get the ball through. In theory, should be a little higher spin than the Hazardous. But I have to swing more quietly, otherwise I'm going to overpower it and flip it left due to the weight, not the flex due to the weight. So I don't have to, that's gone as far as the Hazardous Black did the second swing when I put a bit more into it, but I can move easier with this weight. I don't have to work as hard to get the speed. For me, the 60 gram helps my dispersion versus the 50, but that would be the difference. You're going to feel a bit more kick. It's still nice and tight at impact, so it's not a loose feel, but you haven't got to swing it as hard as the Hazardous to get a bit of kick and to get the club through the ball.
Richie asks, can you explain the role of the trail hand, trail hand and arm in the golf swing? So the trail hand really encourages forearm rotation, really helps the golf club set itself, being the bottom hand. So external rotation of your right arm really allows your right shoulder to sit down, and when that right shoulder sits down, it really helps your right hip rotate, gets your chest around the golf ball. When the trail arm internally rotates, because of sometimes, and a lot of the time, the right hand gets a little bit too much under, it can really make your right hip move sideways and get you short in turn, and that's when you start to get those overrun run with your arms. So that right hand position, the grip, really helps that right forearm externally rotate, sit the right shoulder down on that shoulder girdle, and help you rotate with your lower half and upper half on the way down. Once you get that right arm loaded, it allows it to really soften off on the way down and narrow up the arc. But that's very much a consequence of having a good grip, which will make you feel like the face to path failure is in good shape down at the bottom. But then when you start to pull it, feeling like those levers load, that right arm, if it's in the right position on the way back, because of the good grip, you'll start to really get that power on the way down that's going to give you energy at the golf ball. So a few things there. I mean, it's a big topic, what the trail arm does, but there's a couple of ingredients there that hopefully will be able to put you on the right tracks.
You know the bit I liked about that the most? It's really described as the shoulder girdle.
Shoulder
I've
girdle.
not heard of that before. I like that.
You've got to have a bit
We've got
of
a lot of
shoulder
questions,
girdle.
so thank you very much for the questions.
Cracking amounts of questions this evening. So we've got Stu Brister is asking, good evening, gents. Hope all is well. Good evening to you, Stu. Wondering if you could test the GT1 Tour wood with a Diamana BB and RB shafts to compare the difference in performance. Many thanks.
Righty-ho.
Simon will nip off and do that. Graham Jones is on. Stu started feeling that drill when you pressed down on the grip with the band around your neck, gave me more right side width, extra carry. 3 birdies again today. This is getting ridiculous at my age.
3 birdies?
Bring it on.
Goodness me.
Age is merely a number.
Yeah.
Make all of the birdies you like. Make all of the birdies you like. So whilst Simon is popping that together, we've got another question from Papa Bear. Would be great to see you hit the Ping and Muir equivalent, and your thoughts on both. Stu, thanks for the great first few lessons. Ball striking was 1,000% improved, Chris.
So do you know, I thought that was Papa Bear. I was going to say, if it's Papa Bear, do you know who Papa Bear is?
It's Chris,
but
I don't know who his surname is. Chris, let me know who your surname is. I have a few Chris's on my book, so
because we had for a long time trying to work out who I Love Turtle was.
I know.
We now know.
Yes, he very kindly sent. Was it him that sent us? Very kindly sent us the hampers.
I believe so.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Super nice chap. We accept hampers, gifts, anything like that.
I can say Christmas is coming up. Yeah. Right.
So he's going to...
Any other questions I can fire whilst I set this up, or is there a quick fire one?
So we've got another one from Papa Bear that wants you to try another wood.
Go. So they haven't asked me to hit much for the last 3 weeks. So
I
now
know.
I'm going to have about 5 rounds worth.
Working your butt off. Yeah.
Right. We'll start with the blue board. So the GT1 Tour, for those that don't know it, this is one of Titleist's latest models. The GT1 series is slightly bigger, more forgiving head. In principle, designed around higher flight, but the Tour is the one that is down at sort of 14.5 stated loft, but brings the flight down a little bit more. So Diamana blue board, very stable tip, stiff buck section, smooth mid section. So in theory, the red board has a more responsive tip, should spin it a bit more. So got the 73 in each. So out of the blue board, you're going to get a really tight, crisp feel. I've hit that a bit low on the face, so it's spun. Really tight, crisp feel. A little bit of kick through the middle, but it's very, very stable at impact. So if you like to kind of hit at it a little bit more, then the blue board's going to give you that kind of real kind of tight hit at impact. So that one, I got that up the face a bit more. Plenty of launch, but as this head, this loft is designed to do, nice low spin, but you've got to, the blue board is a fairway shaft, you've got to work the kick out of a little bit more. It's been very good as a driver shaft, where if you want a little bit of extra feedback through the midsection, but tight tip, it's been great for that. Probably a little firm for a lot of players in a fairway wood, I would say. And then the red board, designed around higher flight and softer tip section for a little bit more spin. Should feel a bit more responsive, and then we should see it kick a little more spin onto it as well. Not a hit like that. That will not have spun very much because that was a thin.
Just a thin hook.
Yeah, that was my finest moment. Try that one again. And I've made darn sure that it didn't go low left. That's gonna that way. But essentially, they swing slightly differently. But this one, the softer tip, you're going to get a little bit more kick out of, and a couple of hundred, few hundred revs more spin. But it feels like the shaft helps you a little bit more, whereas the blue board, very, very tight and stable at impact and needs a bit of a hit.
Very good indeed. Let me get to another question.
I'm going to grab something from one of the other questions whilst you find that.
Noel says, did you answer any of my questions? It would appear not, Noel. I do endeavour to try and answer all of the questions. The trouble is, what's happening is I'm streaming on the phone and I'm getting the stream up on my iPad. So if the stream has lots of questions coming through, I can't flick up and retrace my steps. So I'm just answering what's on my screen. And it's normally about 2 or 3 questions at a time. So if I miss them, do ask me again, and I will be sure to answer for you. We've got a question from Alias Capone. Does Simon have a review or thoughts on the new Titleist T250 launch spec irons? I'm really intrigued by them.
Yeah, so they're slightly shallower head. There's actually one less groove on them than the standard T250, but they are a lighter head weight. So the standard head in that is 6 grams lighter than the standard T250, and we can get -6 grams in each model. So you can actually get them really quite light. So if a lighter head weight is good, we can weigh them up a little bit, but if you need heavy head weight, they're probably not wonderful. But they are a weaker loft. We are seeing more flight out of them. I would say the T250 series hasn't picked the ball up quite as well as I thought it would for some players off the deck. There are other heads I think get the mass into the bottom of the ball a little bit better. However, if your miss is a bit heel and toe, they're brilliant. But the launch spec, yeah, it's been good. And certainly if you need a lighter head weight, stunning head with a bit of flight. Yeah. So I'm going to rattle through these as quick as I can. Blueprint S and the 6 iron. So very solid feeling head, mid launch, mid spin. You see it's about as mid as a flight you're going to get. Has a little bit of a click to it. Where it's got the tungsten weight in the toe, it does have a little bit of a click to it versus a single piece forging. TC202, slightly neater top line, slightly taller head. Standard loft a little bit stronger. More solid feel because it doesn't have that quite as much weight at the bottom. But again, there's no tech, so it's mid-spin, slightly lower launch, but retains the same kind of spin. And for me, I prefer the feel of that because it hasn't got that tungsten weight in the toe. But you could probably, similar forgiveness, maybe argue that the ping might be a hair more forgiving. But if you want a solid feel, as long as you don't need a light head weight, TC202, for me, wins out on that. And then we go I240. We've had a lot of success with this head so far. Really good for a cross-face performance. Very good for retaining a bit of launch and spin and gaining a bit of ball speed off the face. Nice sort of pretty neutral head shape as well. Very stable off centre. You can see that, hairless spin. Very similar ball flight, but definitely gained some margin of error on that one versus the Blueprint and the TC202. You've got a bit of tech in it without it being a cannon, hence that sort of series of 240, 230, 210, very popular on tour. And then the IC602, again, slightly neater head shape again. The Mura heads, as a rule of thumb, are a bit heavier than most. But with this one, get a slightly softer sound to it, but this one, the spin's a little bit lower, gained a little bit more ball speed. That hollowed out structure is designed just to give it a little bit of fatter flight and a bit more shot value. Hope that helps.
Very good. Noel says, can you teach us your swing? I do that every week. All of my videos are based around my beliefs on the golf swing. So go check those out, Darius. Sorry, Noel, should I say. Let's move on to Ivan R. That's it. Also, what would be a comparable shaft upgrade to a hazardous yellow 60 gram stiff driver shaft? Also, what is the shaft profile for the yellow Gen, stiff handle and tip or otherwise?
So hazardous yellow stiff tip, I mean, it's a pretty stable profile all the way through. Stable tip designed for lower spin, kind of not overly harsh on the handle end, otherwise it'll be an absolute plank, but the yellow was counterbalanced, with sort of higher balance point. So a similar profile would be something like a Tensei Orange, Mitsubishi, potentially Sinus VA Composite Sinister CB, where they're designed to keep the spin down but counterweight. The new Rogue Aldilla Rogue shaft is more counterbalanced, so probably not that one, but I'd say yeah, Sinister CB or Tensei Pro Orange for stiff tip, lower spin.
Ivan asked the question originally. Good morning, gents. Can you discuss if being fit into shaft flex or shaft weight is more important? Head arguments for both sides. Example, more important for weight than flex profile, thank you.
Yeah, weight far more important. Flex, in the grand scheme of things, if we're looking at what the shafts actually do, regular to a stiff or a stiff to an X, you're looking at 2 to 5% of the actual bending of the shaft. So it's not like it's a 20% change. So flex, the softer you go, in theory there's more recovery of the shaft, it creates a little bit more launch and spin, but it's mainly, for me, it's mainly about how the player reacts to that change in field that's going to dictate how successful or not it is. With weight, you're fundamentally changing the way that the player and the club interact from a timing point of view and a synchronization point of view. So if you can't deliver the club in sync with how you move, it doesn't matter what people like Stuart do for you, teach you good technique, if you're compensating, you're not in control of the club face. So functionally and fundamentally, weight is way more important than flex. However, for some players, they're really sensitive to the way the shaft feels, and then flex takes on more importance in that role. But functionally, soft doesn't hit a hook and stiff doesn't hit a slice. It's just one softer and one stiffer, and one goes hair higher, one goes a hair lower, but it's a hair. So weight and balance point, way, way, way over flex from a base function.
Travis asks, when should I flick for power on my driver? When it comes down or instantly at the top at the backswing? Instantly at the top of the backswing, the minute you start moving the golf club down, that's where you want to turn on all of the power. You'll feel the speed of the head down through strike, but the power's turned on definitely at the top of the backswing. A. Baker, can you go over wedges or shorter swings for chipping, pitching with Stuart release? Thanks for the stream from Utah in the USA. The
Utah Saints, that reminds me of.
Yeah, Utah Saints.
So Barney's power's gone down.
I know.
He's out for the count already.
He's out for the count. You know, how golfers grip the golf club, first of all, will dictate the kind of loft you are presenting with a chip shot. Depending on how you grip the golf club will depend on how you load the wrist. So if you have more of a cup in your wrist, whether you have more of a bow in the wrist, will dictate the kind of loft you are going to present and the kind of direction you are going to push the grip in. So it's very difficult to give a one size fits all, but what you do want to do is make sure that when you're delivering the golf club with a chip shot, that you've got angle of attack, striking down. Now you could achieve that with ball back or ball forwards, but what you also want to do so that you feel some speed down at the bottom is some unload. Now for some golfers, they're going to feel more toe over the heel through strike, and for some golfers, they're going to release the golf club with more loft. Whichever one you are will be completely related to where your grip is on the golf club. Some of you might be a weak grip, which would historically be a thumb down the middle and the palm on top, or if you're a strong gripper, more over the top, right hand under. So depending on which one of those grips that you've got will depend on how you unload the golf club. But what you really want to recognize is the fact that this golf club needs to have some set in it and some unset in it. there's a magical idea that we don't have any set in chipping, all locked out arms. Even the likes of Jason Day, where you'll hear them on Sky Sports talking all the time about he just turns through it. Absolute garbage. The golf club still sets, it still unloads, it just has a little bit less of it. So whatever you do, work out what grip you've got first, understand what your wrist angle does on the way back, and respond accordingly, whether you're going to turn the loft down or you're going to turn the loft up. Knowing what your type is when you swing the club for a chip shot or a pitch shot is the key to it. Knowing that and then deciding on how to move your game forwards. Whether it's a grip change, whether you're trying to release it differently, but it's always got to start with the grip first. If you're going to start changing how you load and unload a chip shot and a pitch shot, and be careful, because you go down that wormhole of changing short game, you can end up in a pretty dark place. I've been there myself once and never again. So just go carefully trying to change that.
That's really interesting, because I've worked out why I was crap at chipping, excuse my French, and actually what the technique I was trying to implement, and actually now what you've just said there, in terms of I'm stronger at. So for me, an underneath release is far, far better.
Yeah.
The two years were just doing that, and actually, it's really interesting how you said there, actually understanding, putting that into my own context, that makes so much sense. If only I'd worked it out 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's dark place if you've got bad short game area, because you're always going to miss greens, right? Scooter 0012, good evening, Jets, good evening, Scooter. Yeah, could you give your opinion review on the Callaway Opus SP wedges, please?
Yeah, so the SP stands for spin pocket. So they have in the higher lofts a little bit of pocket down the bottom within the flange. Careful. There's a little pocket, little hole at the bottom that moves centre of mass up the head. So it isn't there as much in the low lofts. So it's really interesting. In high lofts, they really produce some great spin.
He said flange
it's
as well,
it's a slightly different sound because of said hole, or cavity, or say. But actually, spin-wise in the high lofts is really good, and actually in the lower lofts, it's relatively low. So we were looking at this the other day and was thinking, well, that seems a bit strange. They should spin more. If they spin more in the high lofts, should they not spin more in the low lofts? Actually, this could be a really cunning piece of design from Callaway, in that you don't want loads of spin in your low loft wedges, but you want it in the high loft ones. So, but actually, it's a slightly, in here it's amplified. It's a slightly different sound on the high lofts, but performance for spin, really good on the high lofts for those.
If you are new to our Monday Night Live, we do this every week, 6 p.m. We take all of your questions, get them in nice and early, because we are inundated with questions. We'd love to answer them all, but we like to keep it to a strict hour, so get them in nice and early. Lachlan asks, how do I create more speed in my golf swing without overreaching in the backswing? Well, the key to creating more speed is actually using more leg action. The more you use your feet in a golf swing, and we hear it all the time, vertical force, pushing up off of the ground. The way you want to see it is, if I exaggerate it and put my feet really wide, the angle that leg is at is creating energy to open my hips up on the way back and then open my hips up on the way through. So if you don't want to overreach and make longer back swings, what you need to do is really start lengthening your right leg and lengthening your left leg on the way back and on the way through. And when you're doing that, that will really start to speed up how quick your hips work and speed up how much your chest moves. Pulling on the golf club, when you get all of those ingredients working together, you'll really up your speed. You won't have to start putting in extra lengths of backswing and overreaching. You'll stay in posture and you'll create more speed. The question I would put to you is, when was the last time you jumped? When was the last time you jumped up on anything? And so therefore, creating some explosive force coming out of the ground in whatever capacity is really unusual. Most golfers have a sedentary life. Unless you're a young sportsman and looking to really work out in the gym, the last time you jumped on a box or threw some weight around in the gym was probably a while ago, and then someone tells you to use your legs a bit more. It's like, wow, I haven't done that for 20 years through a sedentary life. So think about that before you embark on what you're going to try and feel in your golf swing. Hope that helps.
I've just started to do that again.
Yeah, in the
Slightly
gym.
stiff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been smart enough to graduate my way in though.
Yeah, I was doing a bit
I'm
last
still
week.
horribly stiff.
Yeah, I was doing a bit at Terra Blanche a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, it's nice to get back in there, but it's not easy.
No pain, no gain.
No, so, we've asked Ivan R's second question. Simon Muggleton, quick one for Stu. With the Swiss ball on the wall drill along some drills from my coach, Swiss ball on the wall drill along some drills from my coach, hopefully along with some of my drills from my coach, potentially. While class results with irons, do you lean maybe slightly with a driver, or is promoting the down angle of attack? Bit of a confusing message that, I'm a bit sort of piecemeal there. Angle of attack is created by the swing moment of the club rather than sitting back and leaning up. The Swiss ball is only really creating forces through your lower half rather than through your upper half. So go check out my driver drills on creating a bit more speed and angle of attack with those, and blend it with the Swiss ball drill. There's plenty of videos on my channel to cover that off for you. Let's ask another one here from Eero. Simon, how does the new graphite design Tour AD-FI compare to the Ventus Blue Velocor Plus?
So we've actually got our new demos of the graphite design shaft coming in shortly. We'll be doing more of an in-depth on that soon. I mean, the Velocor Plus is generally going to be a little bit more tip stable, a little lower spin, lower launch. The FI looks to be a bit more DI-like. It's a little more responsive through the midsection, but graphite design shafts, generally speaking, are a touch more on the more kind of moderate responsive side, other than the VF, which is Ventus Black-like. But the FI, not designed to be quite as low spin as Ventus Blue. The Blue series is definitely going to be more tip stout and should, from a design point of view, bring the flight down a little bit more. However, we will be doing a review on the FI as soon as we get those in, which hopefully will be in the next couple of weeks or so.
Shamrock asks, I have a KBS C-Taper 130 gram extra stiff. That's just disappeared, so I'm going to go behind as I was asking it.
Oh, I can see it again now.
Yeah, I've just moved it down. I have a KBS C-Taper 130 gram extra stiff shaft on my irons, and they work very well. What shaft and weight would you recommend for my driver? My swing speed is industrious 115 to 120 miles an hour.
Honest answer is I don't know.
I love that.
It is one where, so if we take someone like Matt, who swings his driver at 130 plus, he can get to 135, he doesn't need a lot of weight in the driver, he doesn't need a huge amount of weight in the irons. If you're like at a massive guess, and please do not use this as a law because I don't know because I've not seen you swing, and 115 to 120, forgive me, isn't that quick compared to what is out there. It depends how you build your speed. You can need weight in the irons and not need it in the driver. But if you were looking at proportionate weights, you'd be looking at something like a Ventus Black 7X. You know, mid to high 70s. If you're at the high 130s, you don't see many tour guys now playing something that heavy in the driver. Even if you're in the 130s, they tend to keep it under 75 grams a lot of the time. A lot of them under 70 now. But in theory, if you need that heavy in the irons, you need something to hit against in the driver, and you need something stout and stable from a field point of view to match up. So something like that, or the graphite design, the Tour AD VF series in the 7, in theory, might match. But if you've got that much speed, realistically, please get fit, make sure you get it right, because if you get it wrong, it's going sideways and a long way offline. So get someone to test them out and buy correctly rather than someone who's never seen you trying to recommend something.
Yosh asks, hello, how do you know if you have too much versus too little knee bend at address? Thank you very much, Coach. Well, just lock out your legs and just break them. Not literally, but just go a little bit of a break of the legs. So there's the lockout and there's the break. Again, you know, if you were going to push off from the floor, you would tend to go more and more knee flex. Well, of course, if you start with too much knee flex, you can't really increase and be dynamic. When you think about a backswing, if you've just broken the straightness in your legs, as you make a backswing, you're looking for enough flexion in your right leg to be able to go a little bit longer as your right hip rotates, which now puts more flexion in your left leg that as you pull on the golf club, you can push up. So if you start with too much knee flex or you don't start with any at all, you're going to really find that those energy sources in your legs are going to be tricky to do. So just lock out your legs, small break, and you're going to be pretty much there, Yosh. Hopefully that helps for you. Moving on to another question from Ivan R. Have you gents heard anything tested the new Newton wood shafts? Is there a comparable alternative to those?
So the Newton wood shafts are designed around constant bend from one end to the other rather than particular stiff points, and they've launched another one which is slightly lighter. So the way they perform is generally around, say, no specific bend point, but even bend all the way through, which is pretty unique. They generally launch a little bit higher as well as a result. I would say is anything kind of similar. It's a very interesting shaft. I'm not aware of anything that's the same. You're going to get others that will produce very similar launch and spins, but they get their different ways. They're doing it more through a little more out the tip. Realistically using the bottom half more than the whole midsection. So they are quite unique in that respect. They're a very, very interesting shaft. The only reason they're not on the wall at the moment is there was some kind of slight discrepancies on weight that we saw that I'd just like them to tighten up on it a little bit so that we know every shaft we get is going to be the same. But actually from a tech and a design point of view, they're pretty unique and really interesting.
Craig asked a really good question. What would you both think about getting a set of blades with the idea being the feedback would force you to improve your ball striking? I think it's a great idea. As long as it's not necessarily your gamer set, I think it's certainly, if you're playing off 28, the last thing you want to do is go out there and do that. But if you saw on the DP World Tour, I think it was at the Dunhill, Marco Penge, Tyrrell Hatton had one of those woods with the really, really tiny head, and it's a great way to dial in your ball striking. So I think, yeah, it's a great little idea.
Don't get a whole set of them. Just get a practice club made up. If you really want to go down that route, just get not a 1 or a 2 iron, 7 iron or something. You don't need to go to that extent, but I do certainly, if we're fitting juniors, I never want to go overly forgiving with them because actually you do want to learn what a quality strike is, actually dialing your strike quality. So it can definitely be a useful thing to help you to feel, to know when you get your technique right, if you're catching out the right bit of the head. But don't bother with the whole set, just get a club built in line with your other clubs so it matches it for spec, and then you'll get all the feedback you need, especially in winter if you thin it.
Oh gosh, what's gone on there? Ooh. That's not good. There we go, we're back here. Hang on. Hold that thought, everyone. How do I extract the chat? Pop out chat. There we go.
He's fiddling, everyone.
Sorry,
he's fiddling.
Sorry. I pressed the button and then things started going all haywire.
At least you know how to get it back. If I lost it, that's it. It's done.
So where were we? We've got a lot of questions here. This is great
we need
stuff.
to go quick fire, don't we?
Yeah, yeah. Good luck with that. Noel says, "Evening, gents. Noel, 1988. Evening, gents. With the DP tournament that was in India, the course was so tight the players were playing a shorter tee shot. Where do you guys stand on it? I think more courses should be like that. I think the crowds turn up to see people hitting drivers 350 yards long. I think you would love it for a couple of weeks and then you get incredibly bored with it. So as an outlier, just a bit like the RBC Heritage at Harbour Town on the PGA Tour. I think these are great courses that stand out as outliers, but you wouldn't want it every week."
Yeah, I personally loved it. I think it was such a nice change from resort course where you can blast anywhere, find it in the rough and chop a wedge out, whereas actually some of the camera angles made that thing look narrower than this bay. But I think it was a really nice different challenge. Would we want to see it every week? No. But I think it shows what else is out there golf-wise. And you got the one that won has been the most accurate long game player for the last goodness knows how many years, and it's a different kind of course, but would we want to see it every week? No, but I also don't want to see wide open resort courses every week either.
Yeah, absolutely. Rob K. Hi, gents. Any quick hacks for grabbing the club properly on the course, which sets you up for a strong, proper grip? What is your routine? Yeah, I mean, I personally, I pop the club at an angle across me, and it allows me to get my left hand on the golf club. But I cover that in one of my videos.
Adam Scott does that as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's why a few people, I mean, a few people got, I think everyone's got their own instinctive way of putting it on, don't they? But you just got to find your own way. Once you've got, if you've done some practice down at the range and you've found a spot for your hand on the club, you should be able to come up with a routine, whether it's holding it, putting it up in your hand, whatever you've been instructed by your coach to pop the grip on, it'll be some disciple, some routine based around that. So what works for me might not work for you, because my hands on the golf club will probably be in a different position to yours. So you've got to find a way through your practice of getting a bit of a hack to pop the grip on. That would be
one way you can make it repeating, though. I use these on mine. You might be able to see on the back of this. This grip has a ridge down the back. Now, not everyone likes them, but once you find your spot on the club, you can feel in your fingers where that ridge sits, and then you have that reference point, and that's something you can go back to every time. So that's what those things are. Perfectly legal as well. Golf Pride do the Align series, and Lamb can be bought by Superstroke now. They've had that kind of calibrate series, but there are a few that have that rib down the back, and that can help as well.
Very good. Adam, question to Simon. As a low handicap golfer yourself, any suggestions on what to work on over the winter to get from my current 0.3 index down to +1, +2?
I said don't know your game, so it's going to be something specific to you, but I think if you're at that level, chances are your general game's pretty solid all round. You're not going to be able to shoot regularly scores near par, and if you can't get it off the tee and hit solid iron shots, most of the time it's you're saving shots around the greens. Really dial in your wedge distances, really dial in your putting technique. Chipping. It's that end of the game that you're likely to save the most shots. It's turning 3 shots into 2, getting up and down from a bunker, or up and downing it from around the greens. That's where, for me, I know if I'm holding out well from 6 foot, that's when I score well. If I'm up and downing it from off the green, that's when I score well. So for me, focus on that end of the game, but obviously without knowing your game, I couldn't give you any real direction.
And Adam, if you're that kind of player, it would be good over a period of a season to find out your stats. If you're using some kind of GPS tracking system, it would give you absolutely the areas of the game that you need to work on. That would be the way to go with that, rather than sort of throwing some stuff at the wall and hoping it sticks and it lowers you the next year. I mean, if I was an amateur now and I was looking to play the game and lower my handicap, I mean, you'd be missing a beat if you haven't got some GPS tracking on your game. You've got the 4 areas of stroke game, which is obviously off your tee, your approach, your short game and your putting. Every single time you go out, if you're playing off scratch and you're looking to get to +1, +2, you'll be able to bespoke the data that the app gives you to get down to that handicap, and it will know what those data profiles are, and therefore it will give you need to be better from this range, or you need to be better from that range. So therefore you can go down to the range and practice on those bespoke areas, rather than just being just hoping that something's going to work. Adio asks a question on how to stop his arms from overrunning and getting behind his body, and a good little drill for that is taking your lead hand, popping it on your right elbow, and using that lead hand to pull the arm in front of your chest. Then as you make your backswing, your trail arm is making sure that the right arm stays in front of your chest there. So this lead arm is keeping the trail arm staying in front of your chest. So as you make your backswing, if the arm then moves away, you can see how the arm is tracked back behind you. So make some practice swings with your trail arm, lead arm underneath the right elbow, and make some back swings, and you'll certainly feel how that right arm wants to stay a bit more in front of your body, and it won't overrun. If your chest is being short in turn or is not moving enough, think about how that lower half needs to work as well. Hopefully that helps you. Where are we? Where are we? We are on Chris McAteer. If you see my message, I didn't finish it. Oh, yes, I did. I said that he was the next. Okay, so let me start again.
Yeah.
Chris McAteer. Hey guys, huge fan of the channel.
Thank you.
I'm a semi-competent ball striker. Swing is 105, and get around 155 ball speed. If I use a Cabretti glove, they rip. I'm usually 1 to 3 in to out, but my glove rips in the palm. Any reason why this could be? Could be any number of reasons. Could be that you're gripping the golf club too far at the top. You could have, you could have the butt of the golf club too much in that part of your hand, which is digging in. It could be that your grip pressure is actually too light. So many people are always trying to work on a light grip pressure. If that's happening, that the glove is now moving. Could be that your glove is too big for you because it's then doubling up. There are a whole range of reasons, and it could be that you've got a bit of a piccolo grip, that you're letting go of the golf club. The amount of people that let go of the golf club and don't even realise they're doing it could be any number of them. What you might want to try to do is get yourself a coin, and where you grip the golf club, stick a coin in between where it's rubbing and clamp it onto your glove. Make some swings. If the coin drops out, you know your grip's too light, your grip's moving, but if you can clamp it on, that's about a decent grip pressure. And after you practice like that for a little while, get a fresh glove, pull the coin out, create the same pressure, and see if the wear mark's the same. That would be a good way of testing that.
Yeah, my only thought was, is like your first one is the butter glove in the middle.
Yeah, it's a common one, that one, isn't it? Rich, we go back up to Scott Watson. Hi guys, so how does launch and spin differ when hitting hybrids off a low tee with a steep versus shallow angle of attack?
So essentially, if it's on a low tee and a steep angle of attack, then you're delivering less loft, but you're also putting more kind of, the action against the back of the ball is a little more aggressive. So you're going to launch it lower and most likely spin it more. So it tends to have a kind of a lower launch and then pick spin up. If you're sweeping it and picking it a bit more, and you're like to deliver a little bit more loft, but you're hitting squarer through the line of the shot. So that delivers higher launch and lower spin. So it's just, you're getting essentially if you're sweeping, you're lining up the CG of the club more in line with the ball flight, so you're introducing a little bit less spin. There's more of a differential of hitting down on it, and it's still creating launch. You're creating more of a difference between angle of attack and flight, and therefore it creates a little bit more grip on the face and a bit more spin.
What's woken him up?
I don't know, not sure.
All about spin of hybrids.
I know, I was just thrilling.
You just see him on the screen.
It's gone really, tell me.
Go on, tell me. Aero again. Stu, what are your thoughts on practicing with a blade but playing with a slightly more forgiving iron if the shafts are the same in each set? What are the thoughts on practicing with a blade? Yeah, we covered this in a question on my feed. I think it's a great idea. If you've got one club that's really tough to hit, not a 2-iron or a 1-iron as the boys said, but 7-iron that's a blade, it's a good idea. Dial in some striking. Yeah, it can only be a good thing. And then especially when you go back to your regular game improvement sets, it's going to be a piece of cake to hit. Absolutely.
If you can match lofts or get them close, do that though. You don't want to kind of be practicing and seeing a certain ball flight and then see a totally different one. So the closer you can get the lofts, the better.
I'm not sure if you'd asked this question. Ivan, have you gents heard anything, tested the new Newton wood shafts? Is there a comparable alternative to those?
We've done that one. If they're launching another one, we'll probably see it in January at the trade show. But there's the original kind of purpley coloured one, there's an orange one. There's the Newton Motion, I can't remember the other name of it, but yeah, that was a lighter version. But yeah, we covered that one, yeah.
Richard Skinner, great show, thank you Richard. I've purchased a Callaway Elite Triple Diamond with an Artera Blue 65. It feels a tad soft. Simon, what is your understanding of this shaft? I usually play Ventus Black or Blue 6S.
So shaft-wise, it's a very smooth profile. It's a really, really good quality shaft. And this goes back, it's a feel thing. So it's actually a couple of grams heavier. It's about 67, 68 grams versus the Ventus Blue and Black are kind of more 65, 66. But the Ventus is going to feel harder in the tip section. The Velocore in the tip does feel stronger. But the EC1 Blue is a more of a mid-profile shaft, smoother feel. It's more of a feel thing than a softer shaft creating more dispersion, but if the timing is better with one of the Ventus shafts, then you're going to hit it straighter. So all three models are really good quality materials, but ultimately if one shaft swings better for you, you're going to hit it more consistently, straighter, longer, strike it better, and be able to time it more cleanly. So that's what will dictate whether one's best for you or not.
Sorry to hear that Rick Hurst has developed the yips with his backswing on my driver. Practice swing fine, but when on the tee, now I can't get the club further back than 11 o'clock. Discomfort with the driver is a biggie. You need to work on getting a face to path value. That's the only thing that you want to work on first of all. I've got quite good experience with this because Nick Doherty had the yips with his driver as well. So just working on a face to path value first of all, making sure that you see the same bend. When you see two different bends, one blocks miles right and then maybe one that hooks a long way left, that's where it starts to get uncomfortable because you start seeing different ball flights. If you can, try to just create one bend. Get the ball a long way forwards in your stance. Start to meet the golf ball on the way back in. So if you recognise the fact that this golf swing is horrible to hear people with discomfort with the driver. I mean, one thing with the putting, but if you can't get off the tee, it's almost like game over, right?
It's always, mainly it's one end of the hole or the other. It's either kind of putting / chipping or driving. So if you think about the arc of the swing is coming back in, the more you get the ball further forwards in your swing, the more chance you have of collecting it with a club face that's going to look left. At that point, if you start to see it starting left and bending a long way away to the left, you can then just move everything a little bit more to the right, collecting it late in the swing and feeling like you're almost making a bit of a baseball swing at it. But you should start to see that ball getting a consistent right to left flight. At that point, you should start to feel like you can free it up because you're meeting it so late in the circle. Almost you've got through it and then you're hitting it. It's when you don't get through the shot and you're hitting it in front of you that it becomes really difficult to get into your finish position. So get that ball as far forwards as you dare, get the ball teed up as high as you can, and get that ball bending with flight and to the left. Once you've got that, aim yourself down the right-hand side and start swinging that ball back in, and you should be back in play. But let me know how that goes, and if you want some more advice, give me a hit up on my email. Problem with golf, there's time to think. Brain gets in the way.
Absolutely. Not nice. Finn Radcliffe, evening gents, evening Finn. 3 weeks in a row! Exclamation mark. Would love a nice refresh on the grip, Stuart. I think my lead hand is getting too strong. Also, maybe Simon, how thickness of grip could help with this. In terms of thickness of grip is going to get it filling out your hand and allow you to grip it as effectively naturally and with the most efficient grip pressure. If you go too small or too large, you will end up with a tighter grip, and then it can affect how your hands rotate through the ball. Getting the right grip size can make getting your hand on the club in the right position more comfortable. Too small, it can get in the fingers, you can start to wrap over and move your hand around too much. Too fat, it gets into the palm, you can't necessarily kind of get over the top of it. So grip size will have an impact. It's a comfort thing as well. There's theory and practice with grip. It's got to be comfortable. That helps take the tension out and helps get the freedom through the ball and not get in the way of taking the correct grip, I would say. Yeah, look, the best way to put your grip on, get the club, toe of the club in the air, press up on the grip, turn your hands out. Now lift the grip up, grip it with your fingers, and you're in. There's your grip. Now get the palm of your right hand, put the palm of your right hand, the the lifeline down through the top of the thumb, grip it with the fingers, and there's your grip. This is a good place to start. Go check out my grip series. Talk about that till I'm blue in the face, all on the grip. That would be a great place to start. Hopefully that little refresher.
You get some exercise with it as well.
Yeah, exactly. Papa Bear is Chris Hamilton. It's a chap I spoke to last week. He's a new subscriber on my Skillist that I'm helping him with his game. Yeah, super nice guy. NAF115 says, I'd really appreciate it if you could answer this question. I bought a new second-hand driver, Cobra LTDX with a Carly blue 60S shaft, but the ball flight's sometimes great, sometimes the ball just launches and drops faster, maybe because of my swing or shaft, question mark.
When you say launches and drops faster, do you mean it kind of knuckles or pops up and kind of dies? I mean, ultimately, if it's launching well one time and then not well another time, then there could be something from the club setup that's creating a compensation, it's making you kind of deliver different lofts, or it's a technique thing. So that's something where, from a club point of view, if you're hitting a great window regularly enough, and then either a flare up or a knuckle another time, then chances are there is something technique-wise that's going on. The club might be exacerbating it, but it's probably got some technical elements in there.
Doug asked the question again. I've missed it on here. Ask me again. Asai, hello, Stu. Hello, Asai. Suffering from SI joint, sacroiliac joint pain, lower right back when I swing fast. Is this because I'm rotating the wrong way? Difficult to know without seeing you, Asaya. But if you're swinging hard and it's hurting, I would slow down. Listen to your body is always a good idea. Let's pop back over. We've got a question from Andrew Evans. Evening, gents. Good evening, Andrew. Is there any difference? Other than the half degrees in playing a 9-degree driver at stated loft versus a 10.5 degree dialed down 1 degree to 9.5? Is using the Callaway sleeve? Many thanks.
There is. So essentially, if you are going to exaggerate the differences, obviously that would be a driver in its standard loft position. If you go a higher loft and loft it down, you're doing that to the head. So what you notice is that position of the mass of the club at the back rises up. So actually, you're more likely to have a higher lofted club lofted down. Essentially, you're lifting the CG up and you're raising effectively where it goes kind of the plane through the face, through the strike point. So you're more likely to catch it the equivalent of lower on the face. What that does is that if we're trying to retain a little bit of spin and open the face a bit, then actually taking the higher loft and lofting it down retains a bit more spin. If you take a lower loft and loft it up, you're lowering it, therefore it's easier to strike it above the CG quadrant and it gears spin off. So other than the half degree, yes, you should see a slightly higher spin.
Nicely done.
Right.
Kevin Horg, do you get left knee pain from driving back and rotation in the follow through? No, not me personally. Can do though, depending on ailments and age.
Yeah.
That can definitely come at you. Macca09, hi chaps, another insightful start. You may need to start a half hour earlier next week to get through the questions. Good to see. Yeah, it is good to see. Thank you all so much for contributing. Eero, what golf ball from Callaway, Srixon, Bridgestone and Wilson is most like the Pro V1X?
So Callaway, the Chrome Tour X, Srixon, the Z-Star Diamond irons spin higher, well, up there with the Pro V1X, and it's a firmer feel, but the driver's lower spin. Z-Star XV is maybe a little bit lower spin, but that's probably a similar feel. Wilson, I think it's the Tour X, is their equivalent ball. Is there one other? Bridgestone. Tour BXS is the Bridgestone one, but it's a softer feel than the Pro V1X, but that's the higher spin model.
Morgan, great question. Morgan Hong Cam, best 3 tips for a brand new golfer. Grip the golf club correctly, learn how to use your feet, and learn how to practice efficiently. Those would be the 3 greatest tips you can take. But number 1, grip. Get passionate about the grip, baby. It will fix everything. everything, because all of a sudden your hands on the steering wheel are lined up with the wheels. Imagine having your hands on the steering wheel and the wheels are doing different things to what you believe they should be doing on the steering wheel. We'd all be crashing, but yet nobody thinks about putting their hands on the steering wheel, i.e. the golf club, in the right manner. So definitely go with the grip first.
Basics set everything, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. That's it, 7 o'clock, and we've got millions of questions to answer.
Oh,
but we will.
There are loads.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here, and we really appreciate all of the questions. Get here nice and early next week. Get to the top of the pile to get those answers to the questions that have been on the tip of your tongue.
I'll make sure I have a double espresso before we go on.
Yeah, and maybe hit a few more balls.
Well, the testing stuff is great, but it does mean I get through less questions. So
that's the trouble,
but we'll always do what we can to get through them. But thank you for all of them. It's great.
Yeah, we're here every week, Monday at 6 p.m. Barney's always asleep. James is always spinning the discs, and we're always ready to take your questions. We really are grateful that you do come along. If you do, it's free to do so. Double tap the screen if you're enjoying this live, and hit the like button on the Precision Golf channel. We will be back next week, 6 p.m. Look forward to seeing you all then. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Brilliant. Lovely stuff.
Yeah.
Well done.
Busy one.
Yeah,
very busy one.
Yeah. Well done, everyone.
Cool.
Thank you so much for being here. We will shut it down, and hopefully we'll be able to shut it down a little bit more successfully than I did last week. Thank you so much for being with us. You have a good week.